fellow nerdmaids and nerdmaids-to-be. My name is Faith, and today I'm going to be running you through the basics of what this whole mermaiding thing is about. Have you recently been inspired by the new documentary series Merpeople? Or perhaps the new version of The Little Mermaid has rekindled a little bit of that childhood imagination for you. If you're looking to start your mermaid journey, welcome! You have come to the right place. I call myself Nerdmaid Faith. I've been doing this for about 9 years. Mermaiding to me is a fun hobby slash side hustle that has taken over pretty much my entire life. I come from a background of aquatics, and I wanted to combine my love of being a giant nerd and swimming and making videos, and thus my cute little YouTube channel was born. In the past 9 years, I've amassed a collection of over 50 mermaid tales, and I've met so many amazing, wonderful people that make this community so special, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So a very good place to start is the beginning. The what? What the heck is mermaiding? Mermaiding can often be a hard thing to define because it is a blend of both artistry and athletics. The athletics is the physical act of putting on the mermaid tail and swimming, and the artistry is the performance when it comes to movement, costuming, character creation, and more. The majority of mermaiding basically consists of swimming in mermaid tails, but like any hobby, there's a fun world you can dive into of crafting, collecting, conventions, and community. The great thing about mermaiding is that you can incorporate pretty much any skill that you already have. For me, I really like swimming. I'm a swim instructor, and I used to be a lifeguard, and so that really intrigued me, kind of how mermaiding would fit into that. And then also I like video making. I like being able to give people information in a very efficient manner, and so thus my YouTube channel was born. And mermaiding is a fantastic creative outlet and physical outlet for me, and it's just fun. In addition to doing this as a hobby, lots of people want to become professional mermaids, which basically consists of being paid to perform in a mermaid tale. There are some other avenues of income in this industry, like tale making or content creation, but like any art form, it is a tough industry to make a quick buck in, and in fact it's mostly just a labor of love and passion. I really don't identify myself as a performing mermaid, but I have a couple colleagues like Raina Mermaid and Haley Mermaid who have some resources about how you start pursuing this as a gig. So I guess the next question is, why? And to answer that, I'm gonna get really philosophical about things. Why do we do anything? Why do we dress up in a cute outfit? Why do we go for a jog? Why do we play with our children? Why do we dance? A lot of times people will look me up and down and go, why? Cause I am a 25-year-old woman who wears a mermaid tail to a public pool. My favorite thing to do is say, it's for fun, with a big smile on my face, because it is for fun. It is a source of joy. The fact that a lot of people want to judge a harmless hobby that spreads so much joy is beyond me, but that's just the world that we live in. I have found that any hobby or profession that is filled with females and young females is held to such a higher level of scrutiny and judgment, because apparently us as women can't do anything for our own enjoyment. So in itself, I guess mermaiding is an act of rebellion. For me, mermaiding is a source of joy, but some people take their own personal values and missions into it, like environmental activism, personal wellness, education, and more. Okay, so now let's get a little more depth into the who. Who can be a mermaid? And the answer is simple: anyone! Our community is vibrant and wonderful, and filled with people of all sorts of ages, races, shapes, sizes, genders, abilities, and sexualities. Because mermaiding is so multifaceted, there is space for everyone to represent themselves, whether it be in the water or out of the water. The gate is wide open, friends. But just a small tiny disclaimer: if you or your child is planning on swimming in a mermaid tail, make sure that you have met the prerequisites to do so, because we do not want anyone to drown. If you want to try this but are wondering, well, how do I do it? That leads us into the next section. How do you start to become a mermaid? While mermaiding is still somewhat of a niche hobby, there's a growing number of instructors, schools, and social groups that you can look into. Lots of folks have simply taught themselves or learned through the community, but there's organizations such as Patty that have mermaid classes in a variety of locations. If you're local to me in Vancouver, Canada, I actually teach private mermaid lessons, and I also have a group called Mermaids of BC where we all get together every once in a while, and it's a good time. And here's a few commonly asked how questions that I will breeze through really quick. How hard is it to swim in a tail? It's not that difficult if you're already a proficient swimmer. How do you breathe? We don't. Most people just use freediving techniques, but a few professional mermaids in aquariums will use like air hoses or scuba regulators. I think that's what they're called. How do you see? We don't. Unless you use goggles or masks, which is fully acceptable, by the way. We can't see squat underwater. I mean, we can make out shapes and colors and stuff. I actually wear my glasses underwater as part of my persona, or mersona as we call them, but they do diddly squat. How come you don't feel claustrophobic? Honestly, It's a freeing feeling being able to strap on a big monofin and essentially fly through the water. Most people don't have an issue with it, and thankfully a lot of tails are very easy to remove if they're a safe one, which we'll get into. How long does it take to learn? It really depends on the person and how much time you have to practice and how much skills you already have going into it. But for me, it took me about 2 years to be considered, I'd say, proficient. It's easy to pick up though. How are you not embarrassed? I learned a long time ago that it's way better to be yourself and do the things that you enjoy doing rather than worrying about what other people think about you. How much does that cost? Well, it depends on the tail. Most run you about $100, $200 to well over $3, $4, $5 grand. But we'll get into that. That's our next section, where? Okay, so now for the practical logistical questions. Where do you get mermaid tails and where do you swim? I have a number of reviews on my YouTube channel going in depth about various mermaid tails, but no one wants to watch all that. I'm just gonna give you my #1 recommendation and a link. FinFun, you can find them on Amazon. They're pretty affordable, size inclusive, have lots of amazing design, and most importantly, they are safe to swim in. But heed this warning, do not click on any of the temptingly cheaper listings when you search up mermaid tail on Amazon, or on Shein, or Wish, or AliExpress, or any kind of site like that. Usually those are pretty poor quality, don't have a safe swimming monofin flipper inside of them, and are often made with knockoff art, which is really crappy for the artists that poured their heart and soul into the mermaid tails that they create. So don't do it! Please! The bigger fluked, more complex, more custom a mermaid tail is, the more money it is going to cost, and it will probably be harder to swim in, which is why I always recommend starting with something simpler and cheaper so that you can get the hang of it before you decide if this is a hobby that you want to pour all your money into. Here's the cost in US dollars of a variety of different tail sets to give you an idea of different makers and how much things can cost. These are swimmable, but the larger and more intricate the accessory or tail is, the heavier it's going to be and the more drag it's going to add in the water, so it definitely requires more swimming ability to use some of these bigger pieces. But Faith, where do I swim as a mermaid? I've got a video going a little bit more in depth about this, but basically just anywhere you'd swim as a human. Safely, of course. In winter, I swim in public pools or private pools that I rent out, and in the summer, I'll swim in lakes and oceans and anywhere that I would swim as a human, and I will do it safely, so I'll always bring someone with me and make sure that the water is safe. Before you really dive into the deep end, make sure that you've got a lot of the basics down, you're aware of your surroundings, because we really don't want people to just put on a tail and drown, because that is not going to be helpful. Unsafe behavior has caused tail bans in a number of pools, and that's not something that's great, because I want mermaiding to be as accessible for a large number of people, and so many people do not have access to their own body of water, so it's important to make sure that you, if you're in a public space, you are being safe, you're being respectful, and that way everyone can have a good time. So that was the very basics of mermaiding. I hope you found this introduction helpful if you're curious about what everything is about. Again, it's a really niche hobby, and it's filmed with so many different individuals, and there's really nothing like it. I'm gonna link a playlist called Mermaiding for Dummies, which you can browse through after this. It's got videos by me, Raina Mermaid, Haley Mermaid, who I mentioned before, my colleagues Courtney Mermaid and Mermaid Zelda, Mermaid Echo, the Mermaid Seamstress. They've all got fantastic videos, great resources if you are looking to get started with like more in-depth questions about getting water up your nose, where to find a monofin, stuff like that. So I definitely recommend you check that out and just fall down that whirlpool of mermaid content. It's a really fun whirlpool to fall down. If you like what I do, feel free to subscribe and comment below. It really helps me out, or just leave a little thumbs up. I'd appreciate it immensely. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you later. Bye! Yeah, it's easy to remember. It's a fin that's fun.